The Shattered Crown. Prologue. The Fall of Eldwin. The wind howled through the shattered halls of Eldwin Keep. Once the heart of the great Myrddin Empire, the keep now stood in ruins, its golden banners torn, halls drenched in blood. The High King, Thaylen Darith, lay slumped on his throne, his crown, a symbol of unity for centuries, split in two at his feet. In the shadows of the hall, the sorceress Lara stood motionless, her crimson robes cooling around her. Her hands still trembled from the spell that had torn the king's army apart. At her side stood Cale Blackthorn, a towering warrior clad in blackened steel, his sword dripping with the blood of loyalists. Is it done? Cale's voice was low and rough, like gravel sliding over stone. Lara nodded, though her face betrayed no satisfaction. The old empire is dead. But you know what this means. Cale picked up one half of the broken crown, studying its intricate engravings. War, chaos, and blood, and power, Lara added, her eyes gleaming. Cale let the broken crown fall to the ground. Let them fight. We will claim what remains. As they turned and disappeared into the shadows, the throne room grew silent. Outside, the storm raged on, and the embers of the once great empire smoldered in the darkness. Chapter 1. The Lords of Ashvale. Far to the north, where the jagged peaks of the Frostspire Mountains clawed at the sky, the Lords of Ashvale gathered in a great stone hall lit by roaring fires. At the head of the table sat Lord Arion Varen, his grizzled features hardened by years of battle. The sigil of his house, a silver wolf on a field of black, adorned his fur-lined cloak. They say Eldwin has fallen, Arion growled, slamming his goblet onto the table. The High King is dead, and the crown is broken. This is no time for feasting. Agreed, said Lady Myra Eladrin, a sharp-eyed woman with auburn hair and a cold demeanor. The southern lords will tear each other apart for a piece of the shattered throne. It's an opportunity for us. The north has bled for the empire for centuries, it's time we take what's ours. Others murmured in agreement, but a young man at the far end of the table stood abruptly. And what of the prophecy? All eyes turned to him, Caden Varen, Arion's youngest son. His words hung in the air like frost on the window. The Witch of Redfen foretold this, Caden continued. A great darkness will rise when the crown is broken. The armies of man will fall, and the dead will walk beneath the black sun. Enough of this nonsense, Arion barked. Prophecies are for cowards and priests. We must strengthen our forces, not cower behind tales of doom. But Myra tilted her head thoughtfully. Perhaps the boy is not entirely wrong, she said. There are whispers, strange sightings near the Shadow Vale. And what of the disappearances in the south? The hall fell silent again. Arion scowled. We'll deal with superstitions later. For now, prepare the armies. If the south burns, the north will rise. As the lords and ladies departed, Caden lingered, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword. Outside, the wind howled, carrying with it the faintest sound of whispers. Chapter 2. The Heir of Duskmere. In the eastern deserts of Duskmere, far from the frozen peaks of the north, Princess Arion Solaris rode through the dunes under the blistering sun. Her golden armor gleamed like a second sun, and her curved blade hung at her side, its hilt encrusted with emeralds. Behind her stretched a caravan of soldiers, priests, and scholars, all loyal to House Solaris, the last ruling family of Duskmere. For centuries, her people had bent the knee to the Myrddin Empire, but with the High King dead, Duskmere had declared independence. Do you think they'll come for us? Asked Zarak, her captain of the guard, riding at her side. They will, Arion replied, her voice steady. The lords of the south won't let Duskmere go so easily. To them, we're just another jewel in their broken crown. And if they march against us? Arion's grip tightened on her reins. Then we'll burn their banners and send their ashes back on the wind. Zarak nodded but said nothing. Ahead, the dunes shimmered in the heat, but Arion could make out the ruins of an ancient city. The scholars had called it Zaruthan, a place said to hold relics of the First Age, artifacts that could turn the tide of any war. As they approached, a chill ran down Arion's spine. The air felt wrong, heavy, as if the sands themselves were watching. She dismounted and drew her blade. What is it? Zarak asked, his hand on his own sword. Arion didn't answer. She stepped forward cautiously, her eyes scanning the ruins. Then she saw it, a figure standing amidst the crumbling pillars, cloaked in shadows. The figure raised a hand, and the ground beneath Arion's feet trembled. The whispers began, low and insidious, weaving through the air like a poison. This is no ordinary ruin, Arion said, her voice barely above a whisper. There's something here, something ancient. And as the whispers grew louder, Arion realized the truth. The war for the broken crown was not the only threat. A darkness older than any kingdom was awakening, and the world itself would tremble before it. The shattered crown promises a tale of fractured alliances, betrayal, and the slow, inevitable rise of a darkness that threatens to consume all. In a world where no one is safe and trust is a dangerous game, heroes will rise, fall, and forge their fates against the tides of blood and shadow.